We are recording.
We're
Everybody,
live?
we are live.
Oh my gosh.
We're doing it. It's live now.
Oh my gosh. Hey everybody, welcome to I'll Tell You What? Your weekly
was good.
Thank you. Your weekly
like
dose
that
of
one.
uninformed analysis. We're back.
We're back with
We're
a little bit
recording.
of an altered state.
A little bump and a little I don't know.
We're figuring it out, though.
Yeah, so you're hearing Chad right now. Chad's not in the room, but this time instead of just doing one without Chad, we decided to call him in, and we're trying out this
new-
mobile host situation.
And we brought in reinforcements.
Yeah, the real story.
The
here.
real story is we
there
are
we go.
joined by another repeat offender, a fan favorite.
Definitely a fan favorite.
She flew in exclusively for this.
You might
Our
remember
friend
her.
and yours, Lourdes Barroso de Padilla.
Nice.
such
Welcome.
introduction.
Welcome. Bienvenido.
I am honored to be a fan favorite. I have to
You're definitely a fan favorite,
say. It's very
Lourdes.
exciting. I had
Nobody's
going to
forget Sticky Side Down.
No,
Nobody.
Sticky Side Down needs some merch. Sticky Side Down needs a sticker.
Also,
A sticker, yeah.
It's really life advice.
It
I think, Sticky
is.
Side Down,
It
I'm just
is.
saying.
It is. Welcome back, Lourdes.
Thank you.
We're so
I'm-
thrilled to have you.
I'm so excited to be here.
It's an honor and a privilege. So you didn't travel in exclusively for the pod, but it was just a
Well-
happy
But
circumstance.
that's what you told me, Caitlin.
It's interesting
Yeah.
because I traveled in
Yes.
and my original plans fell through. So I am exclusively here.
Yeah. So you're telling me that this was an upgrade then?
It was an upgrade.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So Lourdes, what have you been up to since last we saw you? Anything fun, exciting,
Um,
noteworthy?
No. Just working.
Working a lot, working hard.
away.
Doing the thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, your Instagram's been popping, so that's one thing.
It's true.
If Chad thinks it's popping, it's really
It's
popping.
pop-
Because Chad's on Instagram like once a month.
I took
No, I go on
He's-
Instagram every day. I just only
Chad's
follow
more of a
30
Facebook
people.
guy, I've noticed. He loves to send a Facebook message.
Yeah, how many people do you
Yes.
Facebook message with?
I
Because
think you
Chad
would-
is one, and he's the only one.
Well,
Yeah.
you know,
You know,
I was-
when you see an article on Facebook, that's the best way to share the content so other people can see it.
True.
I-
You're not
I-
wrong.
Yeah, hard
I
time.
did them. I had them as two different work streams, and now I'm not doing that anymore.
Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah,
You're solely on
I
the
had
gram.
different content.
Oh, different audiences?
yeah, but well, because it is a different audience,
Sure.
right?
Old people in Chad and then the rest of the world.
Precisely.
fits.
Yeah, yeah.
It fits his brand, you
My
know?
mom with her obsessive sharing, Chad's
Yes.
messaging, and yeah.
Well, because I think that
That could
Facebook
be an
is really
episode.
about visual content. I mean, I'm
Okay.
sorry, IG is about visual content,
Yeah.
and Facebook is really about words.
Yeah. Facebook is where I say my, terribly offensive political opinions.
Right,
I save
right.
that for Facebook. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because IG is a happy place.
Yes.
It's the land of make believe.
Totally.
It's a land of angles and filters.
Yeah. Well, Lourdes, you know how to work an Instagram. Like you're infamous for your airplane selfies.
Oh,
It's true.
Yeah.
Although I've moved them over to stories. I'm
Have
into
you?
stories now. Yeah.
Ah.
well, they won't live on in infamy. You can
It's
create
true.
like a story collection of just your window selfies.
Hey, are you looking for an internship? I'll tell you what.
Let us know.
Might be hiring a social media manager.
Let me know.
All right.
Let me know. I need a content
Yeah.
manager.
Hey,
I
we're
like that.
growing.
It's true.
We're always looking
Now
for
that-
more work to
Now
do.
that we got the live show, we got to really bump this thing
Yeah,
up.
does Lourdes know about the live show? And we should also just reinforce that it's happening.
Yeah.
to
Well,
tell-
why don't you tell her all about it? It was your idea
I like
after
how
all.
I'm the one who's telling the story. So,
I like it.
Lourdes, we're doing a live show.
That's exciting.
It's not. It's actually a terrible.
He's not wrong.
I'm actually super frustrated. Not frustrated. I'm super scared, nervous, and I guess that covers it.
but I mean, that's like pretty much your constant.
That's me
state
as a
of
person,
Yeah.
but like on the pod, all I see is Chad and Caitlin normally, so I can be me, you know.
Yeah.
But in a live audience, I just don't know.
Don't
but
be afraid to be you.
Exactly. Elliot.
True.
Yeah.
We
Thank
You
were.
need to go through some
Maybe.
inspirational IG memes to pump you up for this.
I'll check your feed later.
I'm gonna like wallpaper his home and those like cat hanging their cat posters.
Yes.
Ooh, yes.
I can't wait. So we were invited to be part of the entertainment for a charity event.
Amazing.
Yeah. So it's coming up in, what is it, September 28th?
September 28th.
So just a couple weeks away. It's on all proceeds will go to benefit the Angel Fund.
Yes.
which
you
is
should do a live story on IG.
Okay. Well,
Well,
we're
when you
flying
do it.
in.
yeah. Can you come in and do that for us?
You can just stay. You can just stay through then.
Exclusively for that.
Yeah, you
Apparently,
could
you
be the permanent
you
fourth
fly
chair.
into Boston for anything.
Yeah,
You know, you're
Not
here.
that
So
far from the 13th largest city in America, Columbus, Ohio.
What is the date of this?
September 28th. It's a daytime show, matinee,
Yeah.
1 to 4.
Prime
Saturday.
time. Prime time,
Saturday.
baby.
We're going to be on stage from 1 until 4. It's going to
Stage
be a
is
long.
a strong word. We're going to be sitting at
We're
a
getting the
table.
dunk tank.
It's going to be a long
That's
day.
amazing.
No, we're not going to be there that
7
long.
days after
Yeah,
my
don't take
birthday.
it
I
fun.
would just like to
Oh, okay. We're throwing you a party.
Thanks.
Yeah,
thanks.
it's here in Boston, so you
Yeah.
have to get yourself to it.
Well, so Lourdes, as someone who has like hosted a lot of things and
this is good.
emceed and
Mhm,
put on a lot of events, do you have any advice for us?
First, Elliot, you should be yourself.
Scroll the Instagram memes
Don't
beforehand.
be,
Yeah.
don't be afraid
Yeah.
to be yourself. But I'm thinking you should do a live IG, maybe some giveaways
Okay.
with your merch.
Yeah.
Ooh.
See?
Throw those T-shirts out there.
Yeah. Oh, t-shirt cannon, Chad.
Yes.
Ooh,
Yeah, in a
we've
room
done
that's
that
like
before.
13 feet long.
We'll give safety goggles out.
Actually, funny story. There's a T-shirt shop at home that's very. I mean, they're like they also have like
Yeah.
a national presence. They do like cool like vintagey T-shirts.
Oh, cool.
And they did an IG live, and they had this guy who was like a baseball, like knows all the players or whatever. So he was showing him old baseball cards.
Oh, cool.
And they picked a person who, when you log in, I was the person, and the one challenger that stumped the guy who got it wrong
Yeah.
was my partner. And so I
Hey.
won a free T-shirt.
All
I'm
right.
just saying this could
Ooh,
happen to
nice.
all of your listeners.
That's
Wow.
true.
We are thinking about some
Some merch.
show specific,
Yeah.
limited time, one time only merch.
Yeah.
But that's we have time for that. So
Yeah, we keep saying that.
Maybe some
that's always
audience-
our line until we're like, shit, it's in 5 minutes.
Some audience
Oh, man.
participation would be
That's
good.
tomorrow.
Okay. All right.
yeah, so that's coming up. That's the thing that makes me uncomfortable
Okay.
for the next 6
Yeah.
weeks. I can't wait.
Time to be uncomfortable.
I live my life uncomfortable.
You see the redness in Elliot's face right now?
do, I
Get
like
used to it. It's not going anywhere.
That's the lampshade.
Elliot, is that
hue.
your heartbeat I can hear in the mic? Lub dub. Lub dub.
It might be.
Boy. Yeah,
Anyways.
so that's the current stressor. But other than that, things are going well.
One of the current
That's the
stressors.
current stressor.
Yeah.
But yeah, things are going well outside of that. I'll be on a plane soon. Well, not soon, in August, and I'm definitely going to take some.
Where are you going?
I'm going to Buffalo, but before that, I'm going to England
Wait,
Ooh.
are you going to Buffalo when I'm going to Buffalo?
for the special first
Yes.
event.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'll be
Okay,
there.
yeah. But that's not for a while.
That's actually you're right. That's in October.
Yeah.
Oh, post live show.
Right.
Yeah, post live
That's,
show. So I
that's
can.
going to be a different millennium.
He's going to have a whole different set of worries.
He's
I'll
not-
be-
hey,
I'll
I'll
be
tell
a
you what,
different
he's not
person.
showing up.
Wait, where are you going before?
we can debrief the live show in
Before?
Buffalo. I'm going to England.
Oh.
For also another event for our organization. But I
Chad and I
will
didn't get the invite.
no, but I will
Yeah.
absolutely take an airport selfie or an airplane selfie, and I will send it to you.
you can
and
take
maybe we
many.
can post
so
it.
it's a long
Okay.
flight.
It's true.
It's not that bad from Boston.
No, it's like 5 hours.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
I'll be there for a
To
couple
London?
weeks to London, and then we're doing a road trip around.
Amazing.
So I'll be in England for about a week for work, and then we're gonna stay a week and do a road trip.
Elliot,
So-
do you want to
That's nice.
practice your British accent on us right now?
I've been practicing a
Sorry,
lot.
let's hear it. Come on, let's hear
I
it.
need something to say. I can't just pull it out.
Order some food. Pretend you're going to get some fish and chips.
Yeah, no, McDonald's. Order McDonald's.
Put me on the spot.
Go ahead.
Morning. Can I trouble you for some sausage McGriddles?
I feel like I've been transported.
I feel like we're in a Harry Potter book.
Right?
With a hash brown.
There goes our international audience.
Right.
Elliot, you're on your way, man. That's pretty good.
Did I ever tell you
I'm
when
not
I
even
worked at
British and I'm offended.
when I worked at McDonald's, we would try to spice up our lives in the drive-thru, and we would sometimes use different accents just
Yeah.
to like spice up the day. And I reverted to that British accent here and there. Believe
Morning.
it or not. Welcome to McDonald's.
Hello.
What can I get you?
Do you know what I found fascinating about my time in London?
Tell us.
Was I thought that it was so interesting that we were all speaking English.
Yeah.
but they were saying words that I understood the words, but not the actual meaning.
Yeah. So you want me to go where?
I would read a menu and wonder what all those things together meant. It was very,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like, I mean, I'm sure it's kind of here, like we have regional things, like, you know, saying sneakers or tennis shoes.
Sure.
I mean, that one's a little bit more, you can decipher that.
Yeah.
But, like we went to a restaurant or a cafe, and for breakfast they had bubbles and something.
Yeah. Squeak.
Yes.
Yeah.
It could be so
I don't
many
know what it
things.
is, but I've heard it. Yeah.
It could be so many things.
Hell yeah.
You understand what a bubble is. You understand what a squeak is.
What
But
is
on
it?
the breakfast menu, it's like a traditional. It's like beans and sausage and an egg and
Okay.
like
Calamari, maybe.
That sounds mighty fine.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'd like to
I
try
want-
some
it
of that.
it was
Hello.
Hello. There's some bubbles and squeak.
Top of the morning to you.
Elliot,
Well,
they're
that's-
going to think you're a local.
Hey, you know, it
He's
depends.
never coming back.
Well, there's a lot of
Ever.
regional accents too, so I can't just use the same accent all throughout England.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's true.
It
I
wouldn't-
like
it
the
wouldn't suffice.
Cockney accent.
Yeah?
Actually,
Do it.
that's hard.
I don't want to.
Like, I like the people with Cockney accents. I don't want to offend them.
Yeah. We have a lot. We have a lot of listeners, so that was a smart
yeah,
move, I'm
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Our
Actually,
second largest population, I would say.
when
Yeah.
we were
The
there,
Cockney crowd.
when I was in London, we had a taxi driver who had a Cockney accent.
Yeah.
And he was going to let us drive his cab.
Did you?
I didn't.
Other side of the road,
I think
3 off.
cabs in England are like a really serious thing, though.
Yeah, they're
They're not like cabs here where
They're
everybody
they're
can
like-
just be a
yeah,
cab.
They
They have to be able to I think they have to have a photographic memory of 3 mile radius of London.
Really?
Like they have to know every single street, and they have to pass a test proving that they know that before they can become a cab driver.
I wish you had to do that to become an Uber driver.
Right.
Right.
It's like, why are you asking me where to go?
But like, I don't know. I think
got
Uber's fine
GPS.
because you just rely on the GPS. But the cab drivers, they're supposed to know these things. And I have never once gotten into a cab where a cab driver knew where I was going. Ever.
No, never.
But Uber,
Really?
always. They
Then
always know.
then they get mad at you.
No, I feel like you said you've never been in a cab where he knew.
Yeah, like a cab, like a traditional yellow cab or a green cab or whatever. You get in and you say your address. They never
And
know
they
where
know
it
it?
is. Never.
Oh, really?
No, never.
I feel like I've always
Not
gotten
around
in a cab
here.
and they know where they're going. Like I've said, I'm going whatever. And they're
Yeah.
like, okay, great.
I
feel
haven't
like
had
that's
that
a newer
experience.
phenomenon of like that like not knowing.
Okay.
Or I think it's also
get
by
it.
city because I feel like in New York,
True. I mean, it's a grid, so.
they're like, I
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
if you're staying in the borough, they know where you're
Right.
going.
Right. Well, Boston's just so effed up as
Yeah.
it is, so, yeah.
Yeah, and like we have all the same street names for all the different communities that
That's
are
true.
around. So you got to
Very true.
know
I
the
think it's
difference between Malden and Medford and Somerville.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's also a function of like new. I mean, like this is an accessible
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
job for new people,
Right.
and so if you're new to this land, it's just easy to
That's why I exclusively take scooters.
Oh, that's good
everywhere.
life.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're gonna scooter from here to
Oh, I
Medford.
hope there's scooters in London.
Oh, God.
Oh,
I
that'll be
love
great
it.
to scoot around
Oh,
London.
Bring a helmet.
He's like, excuse me, coming
Babe.
through on the scooter.
Babe, babe.
Why does Elliot get louder when he uses the accent? I don't understand
He
that
does.
part.
It's easier to yell it than it is to
Because
say
he's-
it.
because he's excited about it.
Elliot, try to
Hello.
whisper with the UK accent.
Hello, I'm coming through here.
Oh, Elliot, too sexy. Too sexy for daytime.
Too
Give
much.
me a sausage biscuit, please.
I'll bring my own cheese.
Double sausage, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink.
With the bangers and mash.
You know what was really funny was when we were in London, we were talking. I was often doing the accent.
Of
because
course,
you just,
of course.
it's so
you
natural.
fall into it.
You
It
fall
starts
into
to.
it.
You start to pick it up, right?
And it was really funny because at another cafe that we were at, this woman was making fun of our accents, which I thought was amazing.
Oh, really? I love that.
Making fun of your American accent, or making
Yeah.
fun of your attempt at a
Making
British
fun
accent?
of American accents.
Okay.
Like she was talking about how she was going to like, I don't remember, it was like Nashville or
Yeah.
Kentucky or it was like
Yeah.
some southern state, and she was like in her British accent trying to do a southern accent, which was
That's
amazing.
incredible.
Amazing.
I was such an asshole when I like studied abroad in college in Italy. Whenever I was drunk, which was often, I would speak English like an Italian person who didn't know how to speak English.
Oh,
I was like,
man.
what the fuck are you doing this?
That's super super meta.
It was
So
weird.
many layers.
People would be like, just stop. I was like Elliot, though. I couldn't turn it off.
You can't turn it
It
off.
just became part of me.
It's just who you are. You don't. You
Yeah.
have to hide it.
Yeah,
Well, I
not
think it's
annoying or
hard with
offensive at all.
accents because sometimes I'll do them and I just sound like my old Cuban mother. Everything is Latino.
Oh, man.
I think just periodically throughout this episode, I might try to toss
All
in
right.
some British and then
Okay.
just see how it goes, and maybe
Yeah.
I'll just give
I
the
like
people a taste.
Yeah.
And then when
I
I
like
come
it.
back
So
after
we'll
the
know.
live show,
So we'll be prepared for how insufferable you're going to be come October. When you're
I
Oh,
can't.
man.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't
It's
wait.
already aired
oh,
when
gosh.
it comes back.
Where are you going on your road trip?
So like I said, we're going to be in London for a week for work, and part of that trip we're going up to Birmingham for a little bit, but then we are going east out of London to Canterbury and Rye and Dover to see the White Cliffs of Dover, and then from there we're going south along the coast through Brighton, Portsmouth, I forget where else, and then we're heading up to Bath, and Bath is kind of like our west coast
Chad's been to
base.
Bath.
Have you been to Bath?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you have. That's
I
right. You
have,
talked
it's
about that.
Beautiful.
So we're staying in Bath for 3 nights, and we're going to call that like our home base, and then go out from there. From Bath, we go to Oxford, and then from Oxford we go to Heathrow, and we leave from there.
From Oxford, we go to the airport.
Right.
It's like 40 minutes from the airport,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's
I
better
have
than
a-
going back to London.
A
Totally.
very important question.
Yeah, please.
How do you feel about driving?
Yeah, I have no problem with it. We were in Scotland, and I drove all through Scotland on the
other side of the road.
I don't want to say
Yeah.
the wrong side, the other
Other
side of
side,
the road.
yeah.
Did it take a minute to?
It took a minute, and it's tough because you always pick up your car in the city where it's like hardest to drive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then by the
that's
time you
true.
get out of the city, you're kind of used to it. I wish it was the other way around, how you were in some like tiny country area and you could be on back roads by yourself. But no, it's flipped. The hardest time of driving is when you first get the car.
Yeah, you haven't gotten used to it yet.
Yeah, but then by the time you get back and to like return your car, you feel like you've done it your whole life. And you can see that other people, you're like, I bet you they're just starting to drive, because you then feel like
Look at that
like
rookie.
a jerk about it.
Do you think you're going to come back here and start driving on the other side of the road?
Maybe, I don't know.
It's like,
What is
excuse
tougher,
me.
being on the other side of the car or being on the other side of the road?
I think it's the other side of the road because you're so used to like looking to your left when you're about to make a turn.
Parking
and
must
you
be
have
weird,
to,
too.
Yeah, and you have to just like flip what you expect. Like you expect traffic to come from one way, you know?
Yep.
And if you aren't thinking clearly, you can still look that way and see like, oh, there's no traffic. And then you pull out and there was traffic. So it's like, I think it's Chad, you okay there?
Are you like
Doing
putting away dishes?
Yes.
What?
Are you putting away dishes, Chad?
No, I'm busted. I'm actually taking out a spoon so that I can
Oh my God.
skip juice for the pot roast I'm making.
Oh my god. Hey, we're learning together, folks.
Right,
Oh man.
This is what Chad does when he works from home.
Yeah.
Get it?
He makes pot roast.
So
Well,
I
I
cannot.
don't have
in
a
August.
stove, so I had to use the slow cooker to like make a meal.
Okay.
Maybe you should do a podcast on that.
On
I'm like,
slow cookers.
Yes.
Yeah.
More
I
hot
could
meals.
talk-
Just wait. Set it and forget it. Kind of like this podcast.
Light
God.
bulb.
Just turn the light on and see what the hell happens for a couple hours.
I've not driven on the other side of the road or
Yeah.
the other side of the car.
Right.
But I did drive in Mexico City, which
Yeah.
was an incredibly frightening
Oh
experience.
yeah, because there's like
Definitely.
100 million people that live there, right?
Well, and there's
a zillion
no
cars on the
rules.
road.
100 mil. Is it really that big?
Oh, no, probably like 20,
Okay.
I think.
Oh, it's
or-
ridiculous.
Yeah.
I was going to say
Okay.
100 feels.
Yeah.
No, that was
Okay.
The map of
I gotcha.
exaggeration.
the map of the city is
Yeah.
like a phone book.
Right.
And there's so much congestion that some people just have helicopters. Like in their house, they have like a helicopter pad in
Yeah.
the back.
Yeah, that's what
and-
I'd ride.
I know.
Oh, for sure. I've never
I mean,
been to
after
Mexico.
driving there, I
Get it? Yeah.
would want a helicopter.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like it might be safer.
Yeah, the big thing when you're driving abroad is so it's outside of the United States, everybody drives manual transmission. Almost everywhere outside of the U.S., manuals are standard. That's why they're called standards.
Oh.
Standard.
So you have to kind of make sure if you're not ready for that you get an automatic, which is always more expensive but easier. So this trip,
That's so many things to think about. You're on the wrong side of the road. I mean, not wrong.
know.
Yeah.
You're on the other side of the road, other side of the car, and a stick. Forget
know.
about it.
well,
That's a
so
lot.
Dead.
I've been
Be
driving
dead.
a stick my whole life, but over there I did get an automatic because I was worried
One
about
less thing to
shifting
think
with my
about.
left hand
Oh,
because
yeah.
you are
Yeah.
on the other side. So instead of shifting with your right
That
like you're
makes
used to, you're shifting with your left. I was like, that's too much.
I
So
haven't, yeah,
we're getting an
I
automatic.
haven't driven stick shift since I was in high school, and
It's
I
the
remember
way to drive.
I remember the very last day that I did it. My high school was like at the bottom, like of a very long, steep hill, and I was like driving my friend's car,
It's
like
probably
as
tough to
school
get
got
up.
out, stalled out like near the top of the hill, like
Oh,
7
no.
school buses behind me. Like just couldn't get it. It was a nightmare.
That's tough.
It was tough to go to school.
The
next
only
day.
hard thing about driving a stick is starting from a stop on an incline, like what you're describing.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was pretty.
Other than
it
that,
was
it's
terrible.
absolutely the way to drive. I
I
think.
can't drive a stick.
You got a scooter. That's all you need, girl.
It's
Yeah, who
true.
needs a
It's
stick?
true, it's true.
It's the ultimate
Um,
shtick.
Are
Stick,
you?
Smirnoff.
Smirnoff.
So you're like a. I feel like you're like a professional road tripper.
I've been on some road trips. I prefer to road trip. Even
Tell me why. You
tell
prefer-
so Carla and I, my wife. I don't know why I said
My
that because
wife.
everybody knows. We prefer a very mobile kind of trip. We're not the kind of people that like get a hotel for 6 days and like explore a lot. We generally, when we travel, we kind of we're in one city or one area, and then the next day we move on to the next one, and we kind of float around.
Got it.
So
Agreed. It's so much nicer.
yeah, so we did Iceland that way, we did Scotland that way, we did Japan that way, Morocco a little bit, and now this English trip is going to be the same. But we also road trip a lot with our two greatest friends, Frank and Vanessa, if they're listening. Probably not. But we always
Maybe.
do. We try to do road trips in the United States, and so we've seen some incredible like national parks in the western parts of the U.S., all via minivan.
Yeah. Wow, when you go to a national park, you're there and then you just like drive around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
It's so weird. Like, right? You just don't picture it that way. Then you're like go through the gate and you're like, oh, we're here. Let's drive around for a couple more hours
Right.
now. It's the strangest phenomenon.
So when I was a kid, because we didn't have a lot of money, we road tripped everywhere.
Yeah.
Like from Ohio to Miami,
Dang.
Oh,
from
man.
Ohio to Texas to New York. I mean, my dad was like, if you could have gotten
car.
to Japan in a car, he'd be like, get in,
We're
kids.
going.
Come
We're
on,
going.
Lourdes.
Man.
See, that's the thing we've never done. Like, if we went to Disney World as kids, we would never drive there.
Ugh.
Like, so there's a time and a place for a road trip.
Right.
I don't think every trip should be a road trip, but many of them should be.
But you know what I enjoy? Well, so I travel a lot,
Yeah.
and part of what I enjoy about driving
Yeah.
is the mobility because I
Totally.
feel like I'm in charge.
You
You're-
are in
it's- you're
charge.
free.
You're not on somebody else's
Right.
schedule.
It's you
I
and
totally
the
agree
road.
with you.
That's all you need to
Yes.
care about is the
and
road.
I have the music going, and I can have
Yeah.
the air up or down,
Yeah.
and I can, I just feel like I'm
Yeah.
in,
And if you have the time, it's generally cheaper because, if you have a family
Yeah,
of four,
sure.
as you do,
Yeah.
4 plane tickets versus
$1 million,
one rental car,
$1 million,
it's so much
yes.
cheaper. So if you have the time to drive to the place that you're going, it's absolutely the way to go.
Yeah.
I want to do like an RV though.
That'd be
Yeah,
fun.
yeah,
I would
yeah.
love to
Right?
do that.
Yeah. I really want, if anybody wants to
You
join
should
me
get a
in this,
pod bus.
I really want to fly. Either want to start from here and drive to California, or fly to California and drive back.
I would totally
I want to
do
do
it.
a cross
I
country
feel
road
like
trip.
driving here would be better because you'd probably be exhausted going the other way.
Oh, that's a good
You're
point.
probably right. Yeah, that's true. But I want to do a cross country road trip, but I don't want to do it both ways. I just want to do it
I
one
know what
way.
you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you did like leaving from Mass and you went north through like Washington and then down the California coast and then south.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
The south way back. That
Yeah.
could be cool, but that would take like 6 weeks.
It would be a while.
4 weeks to really do it the right way.
I think one of my sister's friends, he did that like right after he graduated college and did it
Yeah.
for like 2.5 months maybe.
See, that's
Very cool.
That's cool. And
But it got real tiring. Like,
yeah, for sure.
I'm
But the United
sure.
States
Yeah.
has so many cool things to offer.
It does, and I feel like often when people think about traveling, like they always want to just go to another country
Sure.
without realizing like you could go to another part of this country and it
Yeah.
could be totally
Yes.
different from
Totally.
everything that you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right?
This job has allowed me to get to a ton of states in this country. And
When I first did this job, I literally thought you were talking about this
the
podcast.
pod,
And I was like, what have we
Allowed
become?
him to go everywhere.
this pod has been
We have
across
taken it
state
mobile.
lines a
Yeah,
couple times.
Several times.
But just in general, like I've been lucky enough to see a lot of this country.
Yeah.
And every time I'm pleased about something. You know,
true.
even cities that I don't really enjoy, they still have something to offer.
Yeah.
You know?
It's true.
What are some of those cities you have not enjoyed, Elliot?
I don't think I should.
Yeah, it's not
Name
fair.
it. Come on, man.
I can't. There's regions I enjoy more than others. And I would say I really love, the Northeast is home, so I love the Northeast. But the Northwest, like the Seattle, Oregon, Portland area, and the Southwest, like the Pacific South. What am I calling? Oh, Southern California. I'm calling it the Pacific Southwest. I guess that's kind of a true thing, though, right?
Yeah, I don't
But
think
like,
that's a thing.
I
though.
love
Yeah.
the Southern California area too. So those kind of two areas are my favorite.
When, growing up in the Great Plains of Ohio,
I was like picturing what the hell's Laura Ingalls Wilder
where
or
you
something.
can see for miles. Every time, it's funny, every time I go someplace that has mountains, I'm always in complete awe.
Yeah,
Like
it is fascinating.
Colorado, I'm
Yeah.
like, what? This
Yeah.
is crazy.
Or even like when you
Mountains are
fly
amazing.
over the Rockies, like on an
Ah.
airplane. That's wild.
It's amazing. It's beautiful. Especially like regionally,
Yeah.
if you're, I did not grow up around mountains. And so seeing
Yeah.
the mountains, I'm always in awe of them.
I mean,
Like every time you would think I'm like a little kid at Disneyland. Like I'm like, oh my God, mountains are so cool. Like I've never seen
yeah.
True, I agree.
Well, I grew up in central Pennsylvania, so we're right in the middle of the Appalachian.
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 Appalachian, I hear is the correct
Really?
pronunciation. Yes.
Well,
Hello.
Hello, Appalachian
Hello.
Mountains. That was terrible. I don't know what that was. But I grew
Cut it out.
up. I grew up in a mountain range, the Appalachians. But so that to me, that's what mountains were. And then the first time we went out to Colorado, I was like, "Holy shit,
This is a
these are
mountain."
mountains!"
They're real.
Where you actually see like the snow caps at the top.
Yes.
I had never seen those until I was like 18, 19, something like that, and it was shocking.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it's like there's so much in the United States that like you don't even know until you actually go see it. It's
true. So we went to upstate New York for Cooperstown. It was a induction ceremony of
Baseball?
a
Yeah.
baseball player, Puerto Rican baseball player into the Hall of Fame. And so we stayed up there. We went to like the induction thing. The next day, or we were up there for a few days in like a cabin.
Yeah.
In my natural state.
Feels like home.
So we drove into the city, which is really my natural state. And as we were driving down, there was a true fucking story, bald eagle eating a deer.
What?
This bald eagle was as big as Valentina, my second oldest, or my second kid.
You're like,
He
get
was just-
inside.
It was, we were driving by, we were like, oh my God.
Kids, roll up the
Dang.
windows.
It was crazy.
Wow, birds of prey, huh?
It was like, yes. It was like,
Eagles are no
Big
joke.
bird.
and you ordinarily, for kids, we'd be like, don't look, kids, there's a dead deer. We're like, kids, look.
They're like, Emma, get my phone.
The horror.
I'm going on Instagram Live.
It was the craziest thing I'd ever seen.
Dang. That's wild.
We've been doing a lot of like positive travel stories.
Yeah.
What about those times when you just like have a bummer of a trip?
The travel nightmare.
The travel nightmares. Do you have any travel nightmares?
I don't know if I'd qualify this as a nightmare, but it's a travel story that also involves a bird, which I'm reminded of.
Love it.
So I remember I was going on vacation with my family. And it was like probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, where it was like, are we really still doing family vacations? But like they were supposed to pick me up at my apartment and go to the airport, and I was like typical, like running late, like couldn't find my stuff. Like, everybody was like annoyed, obviously. So we like get to so everyone's a little bit upset with me. It's like really early in the morning. We get to the airport. We're like about to like miss our flight. We're like trying to hustle through airport security. I'm like in the line, like my bag's going through the thing. I see my suitcase get pulled aside. And I was like, oh boy. And my dad, I can just see the steam coming out of my dad's ears because it's like literally we're about to miss this flight. And the lady's like, is this your bag? I'm like, yeah, that's mine. She goes, all right, I'm going to open it up. So she like opens it up, looks through it. She reaches it, she pulls out. She's like, what is this? It was a 3-foot long rubber chicken that I had in my suitcase.
Geez.
Why? Why?
That's Caitlin.
For whatever reason, I brought it with me. I'm like, oh yeah, geez, sorry, that's mine. She's
That was
like,
from that
she
clown
goes,
school that you went to when you were 22.
there's one in every group. He just like puts it back in. Is like, just go. My dad was like, if that bird made me miss this flight.
Did it have like a squeak if you
No, but she wore this was Meta Lourdes. She used to, I don't know where it is. She
Who's
wore a
she?
necklace.
The bird?
The bird. The bird was
She wore a
talking about
beaded
the
necklace
TSA
that
agent.
had little rubber chickens on the necklace.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
that's
it's
kinda
cute.
gross.
Yeah.
It's like a voodoo chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a voodoo
Yeah.
rubber
It's like
chicken.
it's like the chickens that she conquered.
Yeah.
She just wore them around the neck.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've had several when I started in this role where
Yeah.
I traveled a lot.
Uh-huh.
I swear somebody put like a travel curse on me. I had like the worst travel karma all the time. Once I got stuck in the Philly airport for 16 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, so stuck that I tried to go get a rental car and they didn't have any rental cars because I was going to just drive it one way back to Columbus, and they were like, "We have no cars." So I left the airport.
So you walked.
To get to the rental car place, and they told me no, so I had to come back to the airport.
Oh.
I felt like I was Tom Hanks in Terminal. Like I felt like I lived there. I'd eaten, I had drank,
Yeah.
I slept, I didn't have my bags, and then to make this the cherry on top of this Sunday was I couldn't even get back to Columbus. The closest they could give me was to Cleveland.
Oh man.
And I didn't get to Cleveland until like 2 a.m. It was terrible. And then another time we were, this was kind of funny. We were stuck in the plane for almost 3 hours.
Oh, that's the worst.
And so first the plane, we were like gonna leave, but then we couldn't leave. So we were trying to go back to the terminal, but then the planes were backed up. And then we couldn't get off the plane because there was bad weather or something. So anyways,
You were marooned.
We were on a plane.
Castaway, another movie.
Another Tom. You're just living Tom Hanks right now.
Wow.
It's true. I am. So we're stuck on this plane, and apparently there was like a WWF
What?
wrestler from back in the day.
Ooh, like Ric
I
Flair?
forget who it was. It was Ric Flair-ish, but I think like
Randy
before,
Savage?
probably when we were younger.
Ooh.
Was
Well,
it Hulk Hogan?
I should say when I was younger, because not when you all are younger. But he was stuck on this plane, and then someone recognized who he was.
Shit, he was trapped.
Right. And so, but wait, it gets better. Then there was like a retired football player also on this
What a
plane.
plane.
Yeah.
Where were you
He's like,
leaving
"Hey, what
from and
about
going
me?"
to?
I don't even know. I blocked it out. But
You don't usually see that kind of star power
I know.
altogether.
right, B.
Did you get some
Yeah.
selfies?
Like, I did not get selfies.
Ah.
I wasn't happy at that point.
I would hate I'm going to say something shocking. I would hate to be famous because I would hate to like
Beyond.
be stuck somewhere
Yeah.
and not have my anonymity and like ability just to like shut out the world. I would
Right.
hate for people
You'd
to know
always have
who
to be
I
like,
was.
just need to be an
Hello.
asshole.
Yeah,
because
true.
you know who I saw at the airport?
No.
Pauly D from Jersey Shore fame.
Yeah, he reads asshole to me for sure.
Yeah.
100% I was trying to get a selfie with him. Pauly D was not having it. I was like, Pauly D. He was like, nope.
Pauly D, you wish, man. You wish.
He was just looking at his phone. I was like, he's really ignoring me. He's really.
It's like you're gonna walk around with that hair and think people aren't gonna want to take
Yeah,
pictures
was
with you.
his hair gelled like it normally is?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
He was.
He looked like
in
a
fu-
Reese's peanut butter cup.
he was in-
Peanut butter cup.
he was in full effect in the airport, but he was not DTF. He
Wow.
was like,
Oh,
Oh,
Hey.
way.
those are his words, not mine.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Oh man.
But he was causing a store in the airport.
I'll bet.
It was like the Newark
Yeah.
Yeah.
airport,
We
which there's not a lot going on. So.
Carla actually spent the night in the Newark airport like 6 months ago.
Really?
Yeah, she had
So close to home.
she couldn't I forget the details of what was happening, but she couldn't actually even get into the terminal. So she was in like the lobby, like near the ticketing area. So like the benches
no.
there. She
Oh,
couldn't
that's
go through security
miserable.
yet. I don't remember why. Maybe it was like
Closed.
a timing thing. Yeah, it must have been closed. But she slept on one of the benches, and halfway through the night, the security guard came over and woke people up, and because they thought she was homeless, because there were other people that were homeless around her in nearby vicinity. So Carla was lumped in with
Wow.
that. And
That
she
used to
was-
happen to me at the
yeah.
Boston Public Library a lot. I used to go there. I used to go there to take naps, and they'd be like, "Hey,
Yeah.
hey, no sleeping, no sleeping."
So we went to New
on.
Orleans for my niece's bachelorette party.
Ooh,
This is
that's a fun city.
Yeah.
So fun.
Yeah.
So fun, in fact, that the day that we were about to leave,
Uh-huh.
we were still on Bourbon Street at like 3 a.m, and our flight was at 5.
That's a very Lourdes move.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know Lourdes, that's
Lourdes,
a
Lourdes
Lourdes
can
move.
hang. Lourdes can
do.
definitely hang.
Number one, I can hang. Number two, also, I'm like, I get to the airport the last possible
yeah.
moment all the time, which
Yeah.
Elliot really enjoys.
It stresses him out
my
so
least
much.
favorite thing. My travel nightmare, traveling with Lourdes.
Yeah.
It's true.
I know.
We actually have a story. Remember, what airport were we in? Remember, like, I almost missed the flight.
Was that the was it Was it like a southern, like a
Tulsa?
Midwest? I was thinking Tulsa. Was it
It was
Tulsa or
like
Kansas
a
City?
weird airport where like
It was like all a circle.
yes, it was like all
Yeah.
a circle, and all the gates were inside. But once you went inside, there was nothing.
You know, I
not,
think that's Kansas City.
not one stop, not one shop, not one anything.
Right.
Maybe it was Kansas.
I think it was Kansas City because I was there recently, and I went through and I had a water bottle in my thing, and they made me go back around.
Oh, wow.
I had to do the whole security again.
Oh, I wish I was there to watch
And I was like,
that.
"Do I really have to?" And he goes, "Do you have someone to hold your bag?" I was like, "No." He goes, "Sorry,
Why
you gotta
don't
go
they just
through."
have a trash can there?
I know.
Oh, man.
because I've come to the conclusion that this is
Even
how,
with your pre-check, still got to follow the rules,
Yeah,
man.
well, because of pre-check, it didn't take all that long, so you know, it's okay.
I definitely got smart with a TSA agent once, and he was like, "Oh, I'll show you a listen, little
Yeah.
lady," and like went through all my things.
Yeah.
It was not.
Oh.
It was not fun. So back to New
Please be
Orleans.
okay. Please be okay. Please be okay.
Right. Who knows? So in New Orleans, we get to the airport by the hair on our chin, 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 and we flew like Allegiant or one of those
Yeah.
like
Oh, yeah,
off-brand. So
Off-brand,
my niece,
but safe.
in the time that it took us to get back from Bourbon Street,
Yeah.
but to get to the airport, took many shots, and it all hit her once we got to the airport.
There's
course.
nothing
Oh,
worse.
So we quickly realized she could not actually get on this plane. But because my sisters had bought their tickets with hers, all three of them had to stay.
Really?
But wait, it gets better.
Oh.
There was no flights because you know how it's like
Yeah,
that weird, like you can fly
totally.
on Tuesday and fly back on Thursday. So there were no flights for them. So they had to fly to Indianapolis.
Oh shit! And then drive home.
Oh.
Oh.
And she was still wearing all white.
But it was her bachelorette party.
It was her bachelor.
I mean,
Right.
that's what you do.
Yeah.
She had a memory.
Yeah.
How far is Indianapolis from Columbus?
4 hours.
Ooh.
That's tough.
That's
Because the
But
flight
we
was
hung
probably
over?
3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
It's on Allegiant where you don't
Yeah.
get anything. It's like, hold on to your chair
Sorry.
because
hey, Chad.
Spilled some chips. Nobody's calling me.
someone's calling.
It's falling
What?
apart. Caitlin's eating chips right in front of a microphone. We're getting a call on Chad's
It's like
call.
that. What's that called? RM, the noise.
Wait, somebody calling the other phone?
ASMR.
Not me.
Yeah, don't
no,
worry.
someone's calling my phone.
Caitlin, just take a big old chomp of that right in the mic. Yeah, there we go.
Is that EMRS or whatever?
Yeah.
EMRS. I think that's it.
Yeah.
ASMR. I had so it's been one of my goals. I want to get to all the continents, but like I don't really care about Antarctica. I don't really care to go there, and frankly, I'm not that interested in Australia either. So really, I don't actually have this goal.
Why are you not interested in Australia?
There's just more places I want to go before I go to Australia. You know, like if
Fair.
I'm going to go to that area of the world, I'd much rather go to Asia. And I know it's not the same. I get that, but I don't know. Australia just doesn't really get me. But anyway, for the sake of the story, I want to get to all the continents. Caitlin, chomping down on chips. She's covering her
Sorry,
mouth.
I'm so
That's
hungry.
because you didn't let us have lunch. Elliot was like, "No lunch for you.
What
Get
a
on the
time
pod."
schedule. So I go to El Salvador
I'm
every
back.
couple years because my wife
Which
is
is the
Salvadoran.
benefit of marrying someone with ties. not in
Absolutely,
the streams.
absolutely. So
I married a Puerto Rican for the same reason.
Yeah.
Just
So-
for that reason
The
alone.
only reason.
I just needed somewhere to stay.
Right.
Oh, man.
I love you, Ernesto, so much.
So Carla's first generation American. Both of her parents were born in El Salvador and then moved to New York when they were older. But we go to El Salvador every couple years, every 2 to 3 years. And the one time I was going back alone, and it was during the middle of winter, it was after Christmas, and I was trying to get back to Boston because I had to get back for a work thing. So I was alone, and there was a crazy storm happening in Boston. And we knew that there was going to be problems. We knew it. Like every other flight from like Miami to Boston, Texas to Boston, wherever, they were all getting canceled. Every single one of them.
Yeah.
But my flight I was going El Salvador to Bogota, Colombia, and then Colombia to Boston. That was like the only flight going to Boston that was still active. And I called the airline. I was like, I know this is going to get canceled. Can you just tell me it's going to get canceled and like move my flight 3 days in the future or something? And they're like, no, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. I got to Bogota. I got off the plane and immediately I looked up the thing. Flight was canceled. So I had no option.
At least it's not like 1980 Colombia, but
Sure.
just
I
saying.
have to go.
Okay. This is falling apart. Do you have to go right now or like 5 minutes?
5 minutes
Okay,
is fine.
I'll finish this
sorry.
story quickly. So I had to go to Bogota, and I had to spend. The flight wasn't until the next day in the afternoon. So I spent like 36 hours in Colombia. In Colombia. That's my Colombian accent.
I like that.
But so I could not.
Authentic.
You know, I don't expect everyone to speak English. I don't. But generally,
no one spoke English.
Right, nobody spoke English. But I generally expect in major international airports for there to be at least some assistance.
Yeah.
Maybe a person here or there. I could find no person in the world who could help me. So I'm just like drifting around the Bogota airport, knowing not a clue what to do.
I was a witness.
Terminal.
And I was all alone. My bilingual wife was not with me. So I called her and I tried to have her like translate.
Because people love that.
It was not working. It was not working. But I made it through. But that was my like worst. So like I've technically been to South America because we then left the airport to like an airport hotel.
Do you count that?
I count if you leave the airport and spend a night somewhere, you've been there.
Fair.
Did you buy a T-shirt?
I didn't buy a T-shirt.
I know Caitlin has to go. I flew from California, and I think it was like a Southwest flight, and Columbus is not a it's not like a hub.
Yeah.
So it's usually just a stop in.
Sure.
So the flight was canceled, so I had to just get on whatever next flight it was. So I got to the airport at like 6:30 in the morning, California time.
Yeah.
And they were like, "You're gonna get to Columbus at 2 a.m."
Wow, that's a long
hold
day.
tight. I had to fly from San Jose, I think it was, or Oakland, somewhere, all the way to Orlando, Florida, where it was prime spring break season.
Sure.
So me and every freaking kid that had gone to Disneyland was on this plane.
Jeez.
And like some of the kids, I think they had also gone to the Bahamas, so they had like the little braids.
Oh dear God.
And everybody had like Mickey Mouses and things that made noise. So there's a whole plane. It was like chicka 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 braids. Mickey Mouse.
Chicka 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 braids.
Like, meh. I mean, literally.
Full blown soundtrack.
There were more children on this plane than adults.
Wow.
It was the worst experience ever.
That's a nightmare.
But you made it home.
I did.
You made it home to your family, which is more than we can say for you today.
It's
You're here with your Boston family.
Yeah, now you're here with this family.
And you're here for a couple days, right?
I am.
So you'll get to see Chad in person.
Yes, you will.
And that's really what counts. You got your I'll tell you what family right here.
We love you, Lord.
You're part of the family.
You're fake.
Seriously, if you want to come back for September 28th, from 1 to 4, you can hop in.
We're in
tell you
before
what,
and after that,
Don't
too.
miss your flight.
All right, you heard it here first. She's coming. Hey,
we have
everybody,
our first confirmed guest.
come to the show. There'll be a meet and greet with Lourdes immediately after the podcast.
We'll do our English accents together.
Let's do it. Let's do all the accents.
Sure.
Accents.
I can do none.
Good.
I can do
job.
Central Pennsylvanian and a little bit of English. And
A little bit of English.
that's about all.
Yeah.
I can do a bad Southern.
Wookie.
I can't do that.
You can do a Southern. Southern's easy.
Well, I feel like my Southern accent just is a parody of a Southern accent. And I
Yeah.
feel
That's probably true.
like I'm making fun of them.
Yeah.
But they are all people. Which
They're all people. Yeah. Generally. Most of them.
there was many accents coming out at once. I felt the pain.
Well, this has been fun, gang.
This has been great fun.
Lourdes, thank you.
No, thank you.
Such a thrill. It's always a thrill to
Lourdes is ready
to
at
have
the
you
drop
and
of
to
a
get to
hat.
chat. Yeah,
She's good to go.
Thank you
is.
so much. This was lovely.
She's a
Delightful
warrior.
even.
Yes.
Chad, thanks for calling in.
Yeah, thanks, Chad.
Got it. Thanks for calling me.
Long-time listener, first-time caller,
Seems like
Chad
this-
Richardson.
I'll tell you what, work from home is an option now.
It is.
So,
yeah.
we'll never see each other again.
No, plenty of pot roast for
I
everyone.
also felt like you contributed a lot to this conversation.
Who?
Chad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. It's good that we decided to include Chad to this one.
Yeah. we did one without him a couple weeks ago, and the scar is still fresh.
Yeah.
Lourdes.
Yeah, because I was in the building that day. You saw me, avoided me, and recorded that
Yeah.
damn
Oh
thing.
yeah,
The
that's
humor
true.
was
We
better
didn't,
that
I
way.
didn't put that one
That
together.
wasn't okay, Chad. That wasn't okay.
No.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. Thanks for joining us on this little journey. Hopefully your travels are not the nightmarish type.
No way.
They're
no way.
the pleasurable, enjoyable type.
Indeed. Thank you, Lourdes. We love you.
Love you guys too. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Chad.
All right, I'll tell you what. You've been
Told.
oh.
Bye.
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 Bye, Chad.
Adios.